Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Roma's Man Cave, the men's rights podcast, also known as a safe place for men on the internet. That is rare and far in between nowadays. Before I start off with today's topics, which will be high value men, aka a man who calls himself a high value man but has a body count of 250. We're also going to be talking about women who do OnlyFans and the probability of their successes in their relationships and body count. Before I kick that off, I just really want to say thank you so much for 30,000 listens on my podcast. It means so much to me. If you have any guy friends who you think would really benefit from listening to this podcast, feel free to share it. I'm just saying, shameless plug. But with that being said, if you haven't already, please download all episodes of the podcast, because when you download them, it helps push it out in the algorithm to other men. So, I'm here all for the guys. I love girls too, but you guys are my boys. Also, for the entirety of 2023, I am doing a fundraiser on my YouTube. You can find it on every single video starting on January 1st. And what it is it's for Movember. A lot of you are familiar with it because a lot of men don't shave their beard for No Shave Movember. And it's a nonprofit organization worldwide for men that focuses on mental health issues, and I'm trying to raise $100,000. So whether you have $1, $5, any amount helps, and you can donate directly through my YouTube videos. I am not sponsored by Movember. This is none of the nothing comes to me. I just really support this nonprofit organization, and 100,000 is my goal. Let's just jump right into it because I have a lot to say today. So there's the men's rights community, right? Which we talk about social problems, things like fathers issues, lots of stuff, right? And then there's this manosphere community, high value, calling the other gender on their shit. But the issue that I have is I feel like these communities don't actually have a goal. I watched a stream last night. It's on a really good YouTube channel. It's called Whatever. And I really love the host. Huge respect to him. He's great. It's a great podcast, honestly. He had about 4 or 5 girls on and one guy. One of the girls was an OnlyFans model, 26 years old, and the other guy is 37, and he's this I'm a high value man. He's got the courses he's selling men. He basically wants to be Andrew Tate. Because people really need to give their head a shake. But before I get into that, I want to talk about this OnlyFans model. It is okay to be young, beautiful, and profit off of that. I'm not against that by any freaking means. However, you need to have a backup plan. You should probably have a solid education. You should probably have goals. I don't see anything wrong with women who do OnlyFans. It's the women who say fuck it, throw everything else up in the air and say, I'm just gonna sell my body. Because my issue is that even for me, I'm a pretty good looking woman. Just kidding. I'm a 2. No, just kidding. But my looks are going to fade. Even right now, I breastfed 2 kids. My titties are typing on the keyboard for me. It's only a matter of time before they're dragging on the sidewalk. I just want you guys to hear what her response was when she was asked about her relationship status.
Longest relationship was 4 months.
4 months only?
Yeah.
You know what it is? You're way too beautiful. That's what it is.
Stop.
I think that just messes with people's heads.
I think it's probably my very high standards.
Well, I mean,
I get bored easily. So.
Well, that's bad.
I know.
Wait, and remind me, how old are you?
26.
26. And your longest relationship was 4 months, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Huge red flag. Later on in this stream, she compared herself to a high value woman or whatever. And I don't know her personally. I do think that there's a lack of intelligence and a little bit of naivety there, because you've got to know that you're the problem. If you are 26 years old and you have only dated somebody for longer than 4 months, you can't sit there and say that it's because you have high standards. It's not. In fact, I would say that what most likely happens is that girls who don't date for very long, they're getting older, they're always the first ones to say, well, it's because I have high standards. It's because men can't reach the standards that I have for them. But in reality, let's be honest, you're 26 years old, you have blue hair, and you're doing OnlyFans. I just say it how it is. It doesn't really seem like you have the highest standards as it is. She expects them to be a certain way. She builds this fantasy, this Prince Charming in her head, but then as soon as the man shows her that he's a man, a human being, reality sets in for her. She wants the Prince Charming, but she doesn't really think that she has to do as much to get it because she's pretty. That's the issue with these modern day women, right? Is that they still have these ridiculously high values they have these ridiculously high standards of men. Like, women have always had high standards for men, but back in the day, women definitely understood that, okay, a man provides for me, I provide in the home, and that's not oppressive because it's like a symbiotic relationship. Modern women, they have all of these high standards for men. You have to have money, you have to provide for me, you have to make X amount of dollars, but I have to do less to get it. So she has all of these high standards, but at the end of the day, she's not able to look at herself, or maybe she is, and realize that she's a toxic one. With that being said, I did ask her if she knows that she's the toxic one, and this was her response.
Roma's Man Cave highlights 69. Thank you. To blue-haired girl, if you're this old with no successful relationships, can you really call yourself high value, or do you think you're the red flag?
Oh.
So I know that I'm the red flag. I know that. Like, I would say, I know I'm definitely the red flag, but like, I let me change my answer from earlier. I would say that I do have very high standards, but I also like need to find someone that can handle me because I'm not going to change for anybody.
That is the freaking biggest red flag. And one of I think it emulates one of the biggest issues with I couldn't even imagine being a man trying to date a modern woman, to be honest with you, because all of them, not all of them, but a lot of them seem to have this perception like, I am who I am, nobody is going to change me, a man needs to do X, Y, Z for me, and this is why she continues to have failed relationships. If you're 26 years old and no successful relationships, you cannot be walking around saying things like, I have high standards, but I know I'm toxic and I'm not going to change. Like, hunty, that's why your life is in shambles. And she talks about making like a lot of money, like $35,000, $40,000 a month. Good for her. I really hope that you're good at saving. Looks fade. They're not going to walk with you forever. So if you don't have an education, you don't have something solid to fall back on, you can't even upkeep a solid relationship. Like, I just think you're fucking screwed. But I asked her this question. I sent another super chat, and this was her response.
What is blue hair going to do when her looks are gone and she has no education or career to fall back on? By the way, guys, check out Chloe Roma, Aroma Army, her channel on YouTube. We're going to be doing a collab. Would you like to answer the...
Yeah, I would love to answer the question. It's really funny that you make assumptions about me that I have no education or I didn't have a career before I did this. Because, baby, I was a project manager. I'm good. I will be fine later in life. Don't worry. You don't need to worry.
I mean, I don't know. You have to cross your fingers and toes that feminism can bring it to a point where women, aren't losing their jobs because there's pictures of their buttholes all over the internet. I don't necessarily think that it's fair, especially for the girls who are poor. They need the money to further their education. They need money to pay to go for school. I do not judge those girls who do OnlyFans at all. But you were a project manager. She said that she's been doing it for 3 years, but only being successful at it for 2. So that means that you quit 3 years ago when you were 23, 24 years old. It took you 2 years to be successful at OnlyFans. Now you're being successful, that's fine. But how much experience did you get at 23 years old? How seriously were you taken in your career at 23 years old, where when your looks fade, you can say, okay, all right, I need to get it with it now. I need to get a job. I need to do this, this, or this. What are you going to do? Oh yeah, 10 years ago, I was a project manager in my early 20s. Oh, why did you quit? Oh, I wanted to sell pictures of my butthole on the internet for $3.99. It's not reality. I think that there's a lot of naivety that is coming with her. Let's see what else she has to say.
About me.
You know what? When she comes on the show, maybe we have you both
Yeah,
on.
there we go.
You
Yes.
guys can discuss this in person. Okay.
Yes. Oh wait, was it the girl that was on the TikTok?
Yeah.
You're beautiful, by the way.
neck tattoo.
You're
Oh.
very beautiful.
Good
All
save.
right.
Good
No,
save.
she is. She is very beautiful.
I don't think you're. What's the term for it? I'm not sure if you're going to be able to. Shit, what's the term? It's evading me right now. You're not going to be able to flatter her into.
Like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing, though. Is like, regardless of what people say to me, like I will say, "Oh, have a good day, have a great life."
Sure.
Like regardless, you know,
So-
even if they are roasting me, like it's not
Yeah.
intentionally to be like, "Oh, be nice to me." It's like I want you to know that like I don't act that way, and
sure.
I would never talk to someone in that way.
Sure.
I'll talk to you in a nice way.
So you
You would never act that way, as in asking a girl a direct question that she might feel insecure and ashamed about because she knows that there's some truth to it. I'm just super confused. This is the kind of like the shitty thing about like the internet and texting and commenting is like you can't really read context. So like I understand how that could have come off as rude, but like, babe, I was not roasting you. I was asking a very realistic question. And so it's funny that if I was a man asking it, I would have come across as misogynistic in her eyes. But because I'm a woman, she thinks that I'm like somehow roasting her. It's not roasting. And I don't understand. If you wouldn't call a woman out on her shit, that's fine. But like saying, oh, you're so beautiful is just like so fake. Number one, don't fucking lie to me. I'm a solid 2. Okay. And number 2, it's okay to have people ask you questions that you don't like. And you know, my grandpa always taught me that if somebody says something to you and you take offense to it, don't get mad at them. Look at yourself and figure out, okay, why is there truth to that? And why am I mad about it? And what can I do to change it? Like, that's just common sense. So I really hate the fact that girls will just like cannot get called on their shit by other women and understand that it's coming from a respectful place. Like, I'm not misogynistic or rude just because I'm asking you a very valid question. Let's move on to Mr. Macho Chad in the glasses. First of all, if you are sitting inside with sunglasses on, you're doing that for 2 reasons. Number 1, you think it looks cool, or number 2, you're insecure. What you're insecure about, I don't know. Maybe you think that you're only attractive with your sunglasses on. Maybe you have a flat face and it ruins it for you without the glasses. Who fucking knows? But when I come to this podcast and I sit on this panel with this guy and blue-haired girl, you best fucking believe that he is not going to be wearing those sunglasses talking to me, because where I'm from, that is so fucking disrespectful. You don't look another man in the face with sunglasses on and talk to him. You don't look a woman in the face with sunglasses on and talk to her. Like, and vice versa. Like, it's just a huge fucking respect thing. I just have to roast him a little bit there, because what are you doing sitting inside with your fucking glasses on? They were all asked what their body count was. Some of them shared, some didn't. Mr. Alpha Omega Chad that's about to speak here, he thinks that if a woman has one that's over 10, that is like trashy, low value woman. Okay? This is what he has to say.
something about it in our like DNA. We're like we and don't take this the wrong way, but I'm just gonna be very genuine.
Please
from
do.
a male's perspective. We are like low key repulsed by it. If it's like a very high note.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know how to break it to him, but that is not how DNA works. It doesn't control things like preferences. It doesn't control opinions. That's not the role that DNA plays for our body. To each their own, though. It's fine. If you are repulsed by a woman who has double-digit body counts, you're not some awful, terrible person, because guess what? Like, you and a lot of other men. How are you sitting there saying that women with a body count of, like, say 10 is nauseating when this was his response when he was asked about what his number was?
Answer?
It's like 250.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
I'm really not surprised.
So if we do the math on average, that's one every other day.
That is fucking nauseating. That is nauseating. Who are you to sit there and say that women who have double-digit body counts are low value, but you're sitting with an atrocious number like that? You have absolutely no place. This is where it comes from. He does not care about other women, right? So it's not like he's out here saying, oh, this is what a high value woman is because he wants to make other women better. Absolutely. Of course he doesn't, right? What it comes from is it's this egotistical manipulation. When guys walk around saying, oh, this is what a perfect woman is, and this goes for women as well. I see posts all the time. Oh, a real man can afford this amount of bill. A real man will pay this bill for you. I saw one the other day that said a real man will rent you a condo without being on the lease or even having the key. Like, what? Anybody that preaches to the masses, this is what you should do, this is what a high value, this is what my gender thinks, they're lying. They're egotistical, fucked up people who use this social manipulation. Because here's what I mean. If I'm a big, sexy Chad Alpha Omega and I walk in a room of 30 women, if I can convince every single one of those women that they are more appealing and more high value if they're modest, if that works, my selection for women has just gone higher. I can now pick more women to sleep with. More women are appealing and desirable to me. But in reality, it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Because these high value men say that a high value man is a man who gets tons of pussy, right? But a low value woman is a woman who gets tons of dick. Okay, if the common if the common denominator for a woman's value going down is adding more men to the list of men she slept with, does that mean that men are just like, that they're the vile ones? Because I don't think that. I don't think that men are just so nasty and gross that a woman sleeps with him and her value goes down. That doesn't really make any sense to me. Nor does it make sense to me for a man to say, I'm high value because I've slept with a lot of women. How does that add to your value? Are they shareholders in that? It doesn't make sense. Are you building interest on it? It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. That's not high value. What is a high value man to me? A high value man is somebody who takes care of the men and the women around him. But a high value man knows that he has to put himself first, and he knows how to hold boundaries and push those boundaries so that nobody comes to him and crosses his fucking boundaries. A high value man is not a man who's super rich, because I don't know about you, but I grew up on the fucking streets, broke as hell. And some of my friends' parents were super fucking broke. My one friend's dad, he had 3 fucking jobs just to support that family, and they were still poor. That man, he's a high value man to the end of the earth, because he worked blood, sweat, and tears to follow through with the commitment that he made, which is a family and to provide for them. A high value man is somebody who makes commitments, follows through with them, knows who he is, isn't insecure, is not afraid to say, these are my flaws, I'm not perfect, yeah, I struggle just like everybody else. This high value man is a man who wears a suit that's one size too small because I haven't gotten enough gains at the gym. That's not a high value man. A high value man is not the douchebag that sits in a room with sunglasses on, right? He's not the douchebag saying this is what a high value woman is when he has a body count of 250. If you have a body count of 250, this man is 37 years old. He's not married. He has no commitments. I'm sorry, you're not high value. If you were high value, then you would be engaged. You would be married, because a smart, high value man knows what's good for him. And having a strong woman beside him that he can be vulnerable with, that he can go to war with, that is what like that's what a true man wants. He knows that, and a high value man knows what he wants, and he fucking gets it. So how you're 37 years old with a body count of 250, but you're not married and you're trying to sell to other men that you know what it means to be a high value man, I'm so sorry. I don't know who lied to you, but that's just not the case. A lot of these men need to fulfill this I'm a high value because I'm rich and I look nice and I smell nice, because really what they need is validation from women. Because think about it. These are the men who say that any woman who expects you to be tall, sexy, and rich, she just has unrealistic expectations for men. She's looking for the 1%, and it's just, it's nauseating, gold diggers, blah, blah, blah. But yet, that will be the same man that'll go and preach to all the men that he's writing a course for, and he'll say, oh, a high value man is a man who's rich, a man who's muscular, because he knows that, you can't control height, and you would lose a hell of a lot of customers if you projected that. So he sticks on that route, and he says, oh, you have to be strong. Okay, well, if strong and rich is what you call a high value man, and you're telling all of these men that that's what's high value and that's what will make them high value, how does that not make you the person setting them up to be chased by nothing but gold diggers? You're just looking for validation. This guy has figured out what most modern women want, and instead of challenging it, instead of challenging himself, instead of having the confidence in himself, he needs to convince himself and other men that following what those women want, that's the key to success. But it's not the key to success, because if you couldn't notice, the majority of these alpha guru, I'm an alpha, I'm a high value man, almost none of them are married. They don't have successful relationships. I saw one guy that had 3 fucking baby mamas. You have 3 and you're trying to tell other men that you're high value? I am so sorry, but you're not. I will be going on this podcast in person. I think that this guy, Brian, will be there. I think this blue-haired girl will be here. I actually really like her personally. I just think that she needs to be more realistic. And I can't wait to say all of this stuff to like his face and her face, because as much as I loved this panel, I think it was just like super annoying how passive the women are. They weren't really giving direct, clear statements. They weren't calling Mr. Chad Alpha Omega out on his double standards. And by the way, when he said that he was high value and then dropped a number like 250, I started roasting him in the chat, saying, I want to know what his STD count is. And this was his response to it.
Roma Army's making fun of me.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Funny.
Yeah. She said something about STDs or something. Go tattoo your neck some more.
Oh, man. Okay.
Ooh. Burn. The person who's the quickest to just throw insults rather than like give something intelligent back, that is how you know that you struck a chord. And like my grandpa said, whenever someone strikes a chord, it's because you know that there's truth to it. He knows that he goes home and he's fucking lonely. He knows that he wishes that he had somebody there that he could confide in, that he could be vulnerable with, but until he realizes that this whole fake I'm an alpha nonsense, until he realizes that that's never going to be where his happiness is, he is going to continue to rack up a body count. He's going to continue to get STDs, which he admitted to already getting. Like, it's just, I don't necessarily think that high body count matters. I think it's really dumb when these men say, oh, well, men don't respect women with a high body count, as if like men walk around with one brain. They just share one thought and they don't have the ability to think for themselves. That's not the case. There is a lid for every single pot. And like, hey, just because I don't consider this dude a high value man doesn't mean that there won't be a woman that will come along and like want to marry him. She'll probably be somebody who wants an open relationship, who has commitment issues herself, but hey, it'll work for him. It'll work for her. But I think people just need to be more realistic with themselves because, yeah, body count doesn't matter to everybody. Do I think it matters? Personally, no. I have a very low number, but I've been with, my exes, all of them have had a very high number. So I just don't really judge because everybody's values are different. So it's not my place to say, this is what makes you, your body count makes you a low value. Let me tell you something. I have guy friends who were molested as babies. Sorry, I have a 5-year-old, so like that's a baby to me. 6, 7, 8 years old. They were molested as little boys by men. And as grown men, they slept with a lot of women because they felt like they needed to kind of validate their masculinity, and getting women that's masculine, and that's some boss man shit. And they ran up their number because they were dealing with trauma, because they were trying to that challenged what it meant to be masculine for them. Men are not supposed to be victims in society's eyes. It's just not, heterosexual men are not supposed to be victims of a sexual assault by another man. When in reality, this happens. It happens all the time. It's not okay that it happens, but having it happen to you does not mean that you are some cursed victim. It's just, it's okay to have terrible things happen to you, go through the process of dealing with it. Sometimes that means that you sleep with a lot of people. If you figure it out later in life and you acknowledge that that's not the best route, perfect, no problem. But I'm not the STD police. I'm not the in your sheets police, but I sure as hell will call out anybody who's 37, no wife, no kids, and a 250 body count trying to say that women with a body count of 10 is nasty and low value. I'm so sorry, but I feel really bad for the men who are subscribing to his his course, and I'll link it below. Like, I'm not a hater. I'll link her OnlyFans. I'll link his course, and I will link the whatever channel. I will be here in person, like I said, most likely in March. And let me know what you guys think. I have some homework for you. I have some homework. I want you guys to go on your social media and share a story, whether it's video through TikTok, whether it's a tweet, no matter what it is. Share a story about a time that you felt like other men placed too high of an expectation on you. Because we hear a lot about women placing high expectations on men, but we don't really hear a lot about what it feels like to have a man place an unrealistically high expectation on you. So tell me your stories. Please tag me. You can find me by going to the search bar of any social media, type in #RomaArmy, tag me. I will share your stories, and who knows, your story might most definitely make it into the next podcast. Let me know what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for all of the love on this podcast. Please download all the episodes if you haven't already, and subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/RomaArmy, to get early access to videos, content, not safe for work content. Talk to me every single day. Again, I'm so sorry to disappoint. There will be no booty holes, and there will be no squatting over the toilet playing hide the household products up my cooter. Does not work like that. I'm a little bit more classy than that. But with that being said, gentlemen, make sure you're not giving women any dick who aren't having successful relationships, can't acknowledge when they're doing wrong, and when they think that men need to just abide by their standards. And gentlemen, stop listening to men who are not married and not having successful relationships. Stop letting them tell you how to get a successful relationship. You will not find it. You will not find happiness. You will find happiness when you realize who you are and you take the traits that you like about yourself, you own them, you push them to the front, highlight them. That is when you will find your happiness. I fucking promise you. You'll either take my advice or you won't. And I hope that you do, because then you can come back later and be like, hey, you were right. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. And make sure that you donate to Movember if you're watching this on YouTube. And God, I talk so much. I love you guys. Goodbye.